Hello everyone, I'm Wes Nygaard, this is Olen Miller, and we're both realtors with the Muljat Group. However, just being a realtor doesn't say enough about Olen. He's also an appraiser. And what we'd like to do this morning, Olen, is just kind of talk about the state of real estate in Whatcom County. And the reason that Olen is joining us is I think that being a real estate appraiser in Whatcom County, Olen has a very unique perspective. Whereas a realtor can drill down and get some great numbers, I know for a fact that Olen has the ability to even go deeper. He doesn't do a top line, and I for myself, and I know a number of other realtors within our company, have gone to Olen looking for information. So Olen, what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn it over to you, and maybe we can kind of talk about things. If I was a seller in today's marketplace, what would I want to know about what's going on?
Well, Wes, being a seller in today's market is, you're well aware, it's really challenging. Properly priced properties are still selling. What we're seeing out there today is very much a mixed market, very sub-market specific, very price point driven. As a result, those properties that are overpriced are just sitting there and languishing.
So basically what you're saying is, if you're the best priced piece of real estate on the market or the prettiest girl on the dance floor, you're going to get picked.
That's precisely right.
And pretty much what I've been seeing is the same thing. If you have a nice piece of property, it doesn't have to be that nice, but if it is priced properly, it's going to sell.
That's correct, Wes. It's price. There's value shoppers out there today. It's kind of a fundamental shift in the last year, where buyers are finally recognizing that homes are a home and they're not an investment. So they're looking at value. Where can I get the best bargain for my dollar?
Okay, so it's taken a while, but the homeowner is really starting or beginning to recognize that it is a commodity, and when you put it on the market, even though you are emotionally attached to it, it needs to be priced correctly and probably needs to be beautified up a little bit.
Absolutely. It has to be properly marketed by a professional, implementing proper marketing techniques, making sure it gets maximum exposure to the marketplace in order to sell today.
Fantastic. Well, Olen, you and I spoke very briefly this morning before we got started regarding the trend graphics reports that we use quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we drill down real deep, but you take and you go back in history, in the historical information, and you pull out information that you apply. So why don't you go ahead and talk to us about what's going on in the market as far as the numbers that you can quantify or that you've been quantifying.
Sure. The graph behind us is the trend graphics overview of Whatcom County, all single-family homes under $1 million.
Okay.
And basically this graph, we're looking at what's for sale, what's sold, and what's pending over the last 2 years.
So if I'm looking at this graph, and for those of you behind me, I'm looking at the computer, and I'll be moving from screen to screen, but we're looking at this large green bar. Is that the inventory out there currently?
That's the current inventory.
Okay.
And the dark green bar are the solds, and the dancing red line at the bottom are the pendings.
Quite a difference.
Big difference.
Huge. So we've got a lot of inventory on the market?
Very much an oversupply. Currently, Trend Graphics is indicating we've got a 12.3 month supply in the marketplace, which is roughly a 3% increase from which you can see here back in January.
Okay.
I think I just messed that up a little bit, Wes.
Well, that's all right. So if I'm looking at this graph, we see a little dip there, which kind of came on the spring. It looks like people got a little more aggressive in pricing. We had, and then it kind of jumps back up where a little bit more inventory came back on the market. But what we're looking at right there, I think, actually correlates directly with what you and I speak to as being the ratios. And the ratios being, there is a numeric number that you can take and apply to what's going on in a specific area, be it Whatcom County or Blaine, Bellingham, Sudden Valley, Linden,
Sure.
and it will tell you whether or not you're in a buyer's market. Why don't you go ahead and speak to that a little bit, and then you can maybe tie that in with the trend graphics.
Okay. Certainly the inventory, where we're standing today versus what's selling, price is going to be the primary driver.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're getting back to value.
Okay.
If you scroll down to the next graph,
Okay.
you can most definitely clearly see that the median.
Is this the graph you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
The median, or I beg your pardon, the sale price versus what things were originally listed for. Okay, that's when the realtor came out and said, hey, your house, this is what you should list it for. Well, this graph is illustrating what things are selling for versus what they were originally listed for.
So essentially, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but essentially what we're looking at is one's a dream world and one's reality.
Well, you could quantify it like that.
Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But you can see the blue line is definitely lower than the pink bars, which indicate the original listing price. So what that's telling me is that sellers are still overlisting their properties.
Overpricing them.
Overpricing them.
Okay.
Now there was a period here from April through June where sellers got aggressive on their price and those prices came down in more correlation to what things were selling for.
Interesting. Interesting. So would it be unreasonable to say that if I had my home priced right about where that blue line is, that I could feasibly see my home sell within a month, 2 months?
I think that's a very reasonable expectation.
Okay.
If properly priced properties are selling within 120 days.
And I've seen a few out there where they're just spot on. I've seen them selling anywhere from a week to 2 weeks.
Well, there are buyers out there that are looking for that property to meet their needs,
Okay.
whether it's in the Columbia neighborhood or Edgemore. If it comes on market and if it's something that they've been looking for and shopping for, they're buying.
Okay. So if I was to ask you, and I know that we use these numbers called ratios, what is the ratio? And my understanding is it's from 0 to 100, okay, and we're able to quantify a buyer's market, a balanced market, and a seller's market. Do you just want to tell the people looking at this video right now kind of where those breaks are at and where we're at in a general term right now as far as what the ratio is in a buyer's, seller's, or balanced market?
Well, if you're looking at a balanced market, typically things are selling within 120 days.
Okay.
And they're generally selling within 5%, 3%, 3 to 5% of their original list price.
Okay.
If you're in an oversupply market and there's a copious amount of inventory out there, things are going to be, there's going to be downward pressure, obviously, on prices because there's more choices for people to go out and purchase.
Okay.
And consequently, that's going to bring down that ratio as there's more options for people to buy. That list price to sold price ratio is going. There's going to be downward pressure.
Okay. So if we were to take a look at this 0 to 100 graph, and 0 to 45 being a buyer's market, where the buyers are right now, they're getting some great deals, and the sellers are really yelling. So if that portion is 0 to 45 indicating a buyer's market, and then as things get better, if you will, it moves into a balanced market, we could call that a 45 to 55 number. And then in a seller's market where prices would be increasing, where we have actually more buyers than there are homes for sale, which drive the prices up. And I think that numeric would be somewhere between 55 to 100. Can you give us an idea of what number we're sitting at right now as kind of a broad stroke for maybe Bellingham, Blaine, or even Whatcom County?
I haven't heard it quite phrased like that or broken down into that kind of a category segment before, but I can clearly speak to the fact that it is a buyer's market.
Okay.